is Robert Saul. I am the Threat Detection Incident Response Practice Manager for AWS. I look after the Customer Incident Response team, and we take every opportunity we can to talk with customers about security and securing their workloads, making sure nothing gets too cattywampus and threat actors aren't able to do any chicanery within what you do there. So this is day 2 for us at Reinforce 2022. Here in Boston, energy is amazing downstairs. Lots of great discussions, talking with customers about how we can help them. So this morning, we're going to meet a team that does some really important work for AWS customers, the AWS Security Outreach team. So Ryan Nolet, a security engineer on the AWS Outreach team, and he's going to talk to us about what they do and how they do it. Ryan, welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You know, one of my favorite things about this conference is just meeting everyone that's here.
Yeah.
As you said, the energy is just absolutely amazing, especially a lot of the security topics and questions, which kind of brings me here. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Ryan Nolet. I work on the Security Outreach team here at AWS. And prior to that, I was actually the co-author of AWS Detective and contributed a lot to the other security services like GuardDuty, Security Hub, and Inspector, which gives us kind of a pretty good view of how the security in the cloud works and functions. And a lot of the stuff that we want to talk about today are what the outreach team does and why we're really important for the security of our customers.
Yeah.
And I want to come and kind of talk more about that, if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. Let's get right into it. What does your team do, and why do customers care? Why is it important to them?
Well, awesome questions, because we really like to drill down into the research itself. So the customer experience is usually through some of our external security services or a lot of things that we have for third-party products as part of the marketplace and things that help customers help themselves. But what happens when somebody wants to help secure AWS for everyone? That's where the outreach team really comes in and shines. We own the CVD process. In this case, CVD is the Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure process. A lot of people might not know what that phrase is because that is a huge mouthful to talk about. But the phrases that other people will probably know it by is usually called responsible disclosure or full disclosure, where responsible disclosure is actually a portion of the CVD process that our team manages. It's very similar to the full disclosure process, except for that one term of coordinated. Yeah. That really makes the difference. And in this case, coordinated means that the researcher has disclosed to the vendor about a vulnerability they found and has given them ample time to remedy or remediate the issue before disclosing it publicly. That coordination allows the customers of the vendor to be even safer. And we very much value that and the effort that researchers put in to disclosing responsibly and coordinated.
So, okay, so you talked about responsibility disclosure, coordinated vulnerability disclosure. I mean, those seem like really important things, and you went into it a little bit. Talk a little bit more about what it means. Like, how do you do it? What is the mechanism for you all? What is your desired outcome? How are you making things better, specifically?
So one of our core tenets as a group is engaging with the security community. I personally have been a researcher for over a decade. I love going to the dark places on the internet, poking with a stick and see what crawls out, and figuring out how to turn that data into actionable intelligence and actually protect my customer, whoever my customer happens to be in that case. What our team is doing is we are asking researchers to reach out to us either through aws-security@amazon.com, which is a direct email to us. We have the vulnerability disclosure website that AWS hosts that you can fill out a form and submit to us that way, or you can meet us face-to-face at conferences. Right now, the outreach team is here at Reinforce. On Monday, we were at Forward CloudSec, we were at RSA, our team's going to be at DEF CON and Black Hat. So if you'd like to talk to the AWS team and see what it's like to actually collaborate with us about your security research and hopefully piping that into something more actionable, we're the face of it. It's what we're going to be handling, and you can meet us at these major conferences if you don't feel that you'd like to email us directly and you just want to chat with us. And we're always happy just to chat with researchers, just in general, because, I mean, salespeople are great, but I'd rather talk to a researcher about something fun and technical that I can go poke at, I can reproduce. You know, we can have a mini little hackathon and just enjoy ourselves. That is the stuff that really gets me out of bed in the morning.
So let's talk about the importance of researchers. So what you're saying is, so researchers either have an idea or they do find something, they want to run it by you and test it. What does that mean? What I really want to get to the bottom of it is, of that mechanism is, you know, how that idea or how that finding may actually go out and provide customers a value.
Yeah, so I'll walk you through the process overall. So to kind of set the scene with AWS, you know, security is job zero for us. We're really, really obsessed with keeping our customers secure and having that confidence to have them be able to fall asleep at night. Most of us that work in security, there's a lot of stuff that keeps us up at night. That could be a 30-minute talk on its own of just listing bullet notes.
Right.
But with this, the effectiveness allowing us to interact with the research community, when they submit a report to AWS, say there's a core service and magically someone has figured out a very severe vulnerability like accessing the control plane or just something crazy. That's not a concern just for a single customer because we are a large cloud provider. That is a security concern of scale. Now it hits the larger community at large, but it hits the community at large. It's not just one person's problem. It's a large percentage of people's problem. Right. And having the outreach team focus equally on building those relationships with the researchers in order to facilitate those interactions and figuring out a way to immediately action their findings is really what our team facilitates. So when a researcher submits to us, say they send us an email with a nice VAPT report or something like that to the AWS-security at Amazon.com inbox, we'll read through that report. An actual human sits there, reads the report, what you guys send in, and we'll answer back with questions. Here's a clarifying question. We see this point, we're able to reproduce some of this, but we're unable to fully reproduce it. Can you send us some of your POC code? Can you talk to us about additional tooling you used for your testing? Were there specific environmental attributes that you used in order to facilitate this to work? We're interacting with you on how to reproduce the problem, because what we're going to do is we're taking your report, our buildup of creating that POC in order to reproduce the issue, and then we are translating that into internal service team language for these are the mitigation steps, here are some recommended ways to mitigate it, creating that whole workflow, and then really quarterbacking the process, right? There has to be someone who is monitoring not just the big picture of there could possibly be a CVD, but also the core components of this affects multiple teams due to a shared service or an upstream dependency, and we need to coordinate and make sure all of them have remediated, and then work with the researcher on retesting things and really validating that those mitigations are being effective and that they are scalable to the customer base. And as part of that process and going back and forth with the researcher in order to really enhance that report that we're getting, enrich it with new data, talk to them about the results from our testing so they can improve their testing as well from their side. What we care about is that final outcome report. A lot of people want to post about the things that they find. Well, we're happy to collaborate. You need help with some blog posts or your presentation. Are you going to be at a conference? Let us know. We want to talk to you. We want to help. We want to make this an enjoyable experience for everyone, because we want to help you as much as you're helping us, which is absolutely amazing.
I think that one of the things that you highlighted here that's really important for this whole process is your relationships and your team's relationship with the researchers.
Yep, very much so.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit. How important is it? What's the, give us a sense of the community, because I guess I'm trying to put myself in the customer's shoes, listening to this and figuring out what it means to them. And those researchers may be, kind of an unknown sort of,
Yeah.
like a lot of people may not know they're out there like doing this stuff. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, no problem. A lot of people not in the research community, but in the AWS customer base know what, or have heard of the phrase pen testing or red teamers, these types of terms. But a lot of times people are afraid of those terms because they sound offensive and aggressive, right? And kind of not so much dulling the edge on that, but adding context, right? Like a knife is a scary thing because it's sharp, but it's really a tool for helping you make things easier, makes things smaller so you can eat them by cutting them up, right? So with the same kind of analogy, we are taking something that people consider to be risky, dangerous, and we are turning it into something that is leverageable, actionable, and focused. The customer, the AWS customer, will care because we are helping proactively secure them and their managed services. One of the things that customers really depend on AWS for is that ability to sleep well at night. It's not just operational. Right. Yes, scale is one thing. The uptime of services is one thing. The usability and the ease of launching a new service or testing things out, those are very important characteristics. But the reason why they trust them so much is because they believe that they are safe and secure to use. Right. We are doing our part to make sure that secure and safe feeling continues. Right. A massive security vulnerability could have a downstream effect. It could have a lot of collateral damage possibly. It could affect multiple cloud vendors, all kinds of things like that. What we like to do as the community is we want to have that strength in numbers, right? Researchers are often looked at as lone wolves, kind of someone out there at 3 a.m. poking at things. Everyone's seen the movie Hackers or Sneakers, right? Some great hacker movies there. And they get portrayed as kind of the outsiders and, these strange folks. That's not accurate whatsoever. Yes, there's some fringe and stuff, and anytime you go to a conference, somebody has a better fedora than I do, and that's going to be a problem. But what they definitely have a better haircut. But what they're not considering is that the vast majority of researchers these days work 9 to 5 or regular hours. Nobody works 9 to 5 anymore, but they work regular hours. They're doing this repeatedly. They are automating their tests. It is starting to transform from being more art than science, which is what we've traditionally seen and idolized hackers as, into a business.
Right.
Everybody wants to make money off of it, and everybody wants to can make their mark.
Yeah.
So we are engaging with them in order to facilitate these feelings. We want them to know how much they matter, because without them, there's no us.
Yeah, so these are important folks doing an important work.
Incredibly so.
And it's interesting, you go, in the Wayback Machine, and you think about the internet, and you think about the way that it was built, why it was built, the community that was out there, and folks that are just interested in the technology, in what they're doing. What advice or what sort of guidance would you provide a researcher or a research team that wants to interface with you? Other than, we're going to get to the link a little bit more here, how to actually get to it, but give some recommendations about how they should be doing it, actually some of their research.
Sure thing. So, one of the big perks of using the website I was mentioned is that there's a template, right? There's some standard questions that are asked for you to best describe what you have found in order for us to interpret it and reproduce it quickly, right? If you don't have all of those tenets in the template, that's perfectly fine. We will work with you on how to kind of pull them out. a lot of research reports we get, they vary anywhere between a 10-page professional report with screenshots, reproduction steps, and some amazing things, to a 2-sentence email of service XYZ is broken, fix it. One of those is
not too helpful.
One of those is very actionable immediately, which is wonderful. The other one is going to take a lot of that interaction back and forth. So some of the high-level things that people can remember to talk about when they're submitting, outside of the technical details, because that'll take too long to get into. But think of the narrative that you as a researcher are telling the person you're reporting to. Even if it's not AWS, say you're reporting to another vendor in any way, they're going to need the same things. How does this interact with our service, right? Is it a core component of the product itself by that vendor, or is it on a dependency that vendor is using that is upstream from them? That dramatically changes the response to things. So being able to identify what service or a module that's being used, things like that, those details, those little nuances, those take us from asking a bunch of questions to immediately cutting it down to a couple of very specific targeted questions to make sure we validate quickly, we take immediate action on it, we work things very, very quickly. We actually had a quote from an article that got posted that said, when you report something to AWS, they react to it like the house is on fire until they can validate that it's not a concern. And that's exactly it. When you report to us, we are going to look at things and we're going to act as if our house is on fire until we're able to validate and lower the severity of it. Or we work like the house is on fire the whole time until it is mitigated, right? Those are our actions.
So do the work, do the research, communicate effectively.
Yep.
Be prepared to communicate with you and your team. Because you're going to go back with questions, you're going to go back with some further thoughts or what have you. So when those researchers are doing that and they're getting to you, you guys take that report, you do the testing, and you come up with a service fix if needed, and ultimately making the platform stronger and more secure for the customers.
Right, and we acknowledge that not everybody is, a 20-year veteran of reporting vulnerabilities, right? A lot of people are getting started, and there's no reason why those people should not report as well. Part of the interaction process and having that back and forth is enabling these researchers to really start punching above their weight class and learn how to have a mature disclosure.
How to do it.
Exactly. And what's one of the things that we're here to help with is we are here to help you improve what you're reporting, to give feedback, and to collaborate.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. My name is Robert Saul, and this is
Ryan Nolet.
Thank you.